Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Oh, should I go next?
Yes.
Hey, I'm Gokai Platinum.
Uh, and I'm Rai. Welcome to Kamen Rider Zero One, episode 38. Uh, so, uh, when you have incriminating evidence of someone's illegal activities that you have then copied onto a USB, uh, do you shove it in their face before or after you make additional copies so that when they go to delete everything, you didn't just lose all your evidence?
Uh, Answer: you make 3 copies, just like any decent IT professional knows to make backups for. Because, like, one you have local, two you have the back. I mean, one you have the original backup, two you have another backup, and three you have an offsite backup, right? So the thing is, like, yeah, this is insane, right? Like, to be fair, also these geniuses aren't the biggest, like the brightest bunch. But then again, guy just showed up as they were done doing their thing. So
I
yeah.
literally wonder what their qualifications are if they didn't know to make those backups. Like, somebody writing for this show must have known that that was a thing people do. And it makes me think they probably just didn't care. But I was seriously sitting there wondering, like, how is this a problem? How is this thing that they're going through even actually a problem? My immediate logical conclusion was they have a backup because that would be smart, and non-IT people would be like, that's so smart, they have a backup. It's not like every IT person ever does that all the time.
Yeah, the to be fair, guy just showed up, so like, like they might have been in the process of making another backup, and then guy just showed up and like erased all the shit, which we'll get into. But like, I can give them a little leeway, but yeah, it's ridiculous that they didn't have a second backup. Like, I can't believe. Well, maybe there was just too much data, and shit, what's her name? The vice president secretary couldn't store it all.
Oh, siesta.
Yes, siesta. So like, siesta's thing is like, I'm like, okay, maybe that's the only reason, because otherwise I'm like, if fucking Izu can store like all the damn data of the Humagear on her progress key, like siesta, you can't just store some files.
Okay, like this is kind of like, I don't know, maybe this is sort of fridge logic, but like it seems like if the like Common Rider parts are basically transferred as data and then materialized with, like, I don't know, crazy 3D printers, I guess is kind of how it looks, then I think like a few thousand like docx files should be pretty easy to transfer like instantly.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a bunch of 3D files versus like documents. So yeah, you're right. It's weird. Also, like, when they list what he did, which is hilarious because the way they're like, oh, he used the company money to get like haircuts and stuff, and also bribing and extortion and whatnot, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
oh, there's more. There's more that they didn't say. If you actually translate the text on the files, I know this was episode 37, but some of them say sexual harassment.
I
oh,
believe it.
Jesus. Yeah.
Sekuhara. Sekuhara means sexual harassment.
I mean, I know why they didn't say it, because like the Lavrika thing happened. So they're like, we're not gonna bring that shit up.
But then why did they put it in the fucking show?
No,
Like, at
because,
all?
well, whoever made the graphic. Well, here's the thing. Like, you know what the fuck I'm talking about?
I mean, I
With
do.
Like,
the whole.
well, okay, like, what I'm thinking is, like, the only reason I think that it would, like, be in the show is if they basically, if the person making the graphics just kind of like looked up a list of like bad things CEOs do,
Well, I mean, that's
or do
probably
you
what
mean the thing with
happened.
Lovelyka? Like what happened with Lovelyka actually? Like what were you
So,
mentioning there?
Lovelyko, the character, was basically a creepy sexual harassment character because he was from a love themed game, like a dating sim.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. He was kind of a creeper. Was that
Yeah.
controversial?
No,
Not at
like
the
the problem
time.
is the actor actually turned out to be like that. So they're like,
Oh, I didn't know about that part.
yeah, that's what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, that's the worst thing ever today. Um,
Well,
wow. So now, okay, like in the show, I can like look at him and be like, okay, they're doing this as a joke,
as a joke,
whatever.
yeah.
But then I think, oh no, Lovelyka just actually is Lovelyka, except
Well,
worse,
maybe he's
because
not that
he
extreme, but
actually.
like, yeah, like elements of that. And so
I guess
that's what
I'm
I'm saying is
imagining
like,
like the worst possible situation.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is like Toei probably isn't trying to bring that up because like they literally just had like a fucking case on this shit like a month ago, or I mean maybe not a month ago, but like like 2 months ago or something. So they're probably trying to distance themselves from that shit.
I mean,
Um,
I honestly like. I feel like when you put sexual harassment in there as something that he did, it can kind of hit more personally for some people. I kind of ultimately think that literally being the military industrial complex incarnate is kind of worse if I had to split
yes,
hairs. But like, uh, so like either way, they mentioned some of his worst crimes out loud. So even
that's
if the
true.
sexual harassment thing wasn't there, I would still say that this episode is fucking whack for reasons that we will get into when we get to what happens later in it.
Yeah, so like I think one of the problems, I mean not the problems is like one of the reasons why that happens is like this plot line is actually like an adult mature plot line, but it's in a kid show. Well, I mean it's not a kid show, but like now Toei is trying to be more kid friendly. So like they're kind of just like alluding to a lot more shit instead of just bringing it to the forefront. So like I
I
guess that's
just,
probably why they wouldn't mention stuff like that.
yeah, maybe they
Again,
just can't. I don't get why it can be in text, but it can't be said out loud. Like it can be written on the
well,
screen, but you can't say it with your own words.
well, the thing is, like, a text is like a kid's not gonna read the text, right? Like they
Like,
could,
Mom, what's
but
Sakuhara?
yeah, right, exactly. Like they're not gonna like know exactly what the fuck because like a kids usually kids aren't gonna pay attention to that much stuff, but like an adult could see it and it's like, oh, they know what the fuck that
I'm
means.
gonna I'm gonna warn everybody. If I start laughing, it's because this episode's extremely fucking uncomfortable. But not
Yeah,
because I actually think it's funny, but it's like a coping mechanism. This episode's
that's
fucking terrible.
that's totally fine. Um. Anyway, moving on, I guess.
Moving on. I mean, that was pretty much the. Okay, so uh, Guy has now locked himself in the secret room to delete all the evidence, so the vice president calls in Aruto to come and help them. Uh, Now, we knew that there was a secret entrance in that room. I do not remember if we saw what it was before, but it is a secret tunnel underneath one of the human gears on display.
I think it gets used once, maybe in the episode with Izu's brother, or or maybe the one with
Yeah, I
the
remember that.
yeah, like they have to escape. I remember that, or something like that. And like I think it's been mentioned, like shown like once only in this show.
Fucking, I think it shows though that Aruto can still. I mean, I don't think he put the entrance there. Maybe he didn't. But either way, he can use it to his advantage, and still uh, gain control back over the situation throughout this entire series of events that take place in these couple rooms. Aruto displays a lot of control over the situation and actually just demonstrates like a lot of good qualities that show that he's really like become like a good common writer, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like honestly, when we were doing the crossover movie with Zio, sorry. So one of the interesting points was is like Arto, like some Tokusatsu fans might complain that he's kind of a boring ass character or he's pretty plain. But I'm like, you have to remember this is like essentially the Ichigo of Reiwa. And for that character, like Arto is actually a pretty good choice because like one, he's young, so he can keep reappearing if they need him. Two is he's actually got like a pretty decent amount of maturity in gravitas when he needs to have it. Like Zio got kind of to this level, but it took a while. But Arto got in here a lot faster. So like basically, if you see like the crossover movie with Zio, he's a lot. After that point, he's become a lot more serious. So I guess it makes sense. But like, yeah, I actually think he's a pretty good writer, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of good elements to his character. Like there's a lot of things going on for him. Like even besides his uh, father backstory, like how he turns that into his motivations as being in the unique position of a CEO and a common writer. He uses it to shape his beliefs around the belief in the Humagears, which is kind of interesting because the show actually has to make a case for why we should believe in the Humagears too. And I mean, like, yeah, like most people are probably going to agree with that because they make the Humagears pretty appealing. But we also have Arc Zero running around, so that is supposed to be the counter argument to why we should believe in these AIs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the show honestly does a good job. Personally, like since Arto's gotten his own company, I feel like he's matured a lot more. Because like one of the impressive things that they did, I guess finally cementing it in this episode is like, no, I'm not going back to Hidan, or at least not yet, because like I have my own company. I don't need this. Right? And I think that's honestly like the best decision because like since he's gotten his own company, I feel like he's doing the role of being a president a lot more. Whereas like when he was the president of Hidan, I think he was just pretending to be, or like he was trying to pretend to be the president of Hidan, right? And just trying to be all nice as possible, but like he wasn't really being a president. He was just being a nice person, right? So he was just basically being a representative. Whereas like now with his own company, he feels more like a president.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we get the last showdown between Aruto and Guy, and it is also the most pathetic one, as Guy is basically at his limits. Uh, he's got nothing left going for him at this point. And now they have video evidence of him trying to assault them with a weapon. Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
honestly, like guy fucked up really bad using that video evidence. Well, that's what you fucking do when you really need to prove what the situation is. Like, you want someone to attack you, and you want it to be seen as clearly as possible if you're going to try to get somebody in trouble for basically being off the fucking off their fucking shit.
I mean, to be fair, like the it's kind of impressive how like far Guy has fallen because this is literally the same plan Guy pulled, but like in reverse, right?
Yeah, huh?
because like he did it when Yua was filming 01, and then he does it with like the reporters later on, where he like makes the human gears look way more violent and stuff. So like he's been doing the same play or similar enough over the show. It's just he's kind of hit this point where he just doesn't give a fuck, and he got outplayed so easily. Um, it's also
Yeah.
interesting that like this is such a dark like couple of scenes, but they add like humor into it. Um, like guy is so fucking over the top on that computer screen, right? And then
Everybody
Sp-
wants to be Dan Kuroto.
kind of. Well, the thing is, like, guy's actor said like he's trying to portray like very famous villains, and that's what his cue is, right? But yeah,
Hmm.
you're right. Like they're kind of doing the Dan thing for sure with the computer stuff. But like Satellite Zay is having like none of his shit, which is great. Um, Also, I love how like they mention that like, oh, my clothes are magically fixed. Like even they acknowledge it's ridiculous that his clothes are clean. He just like, yeah, it's done now. Deal with it, pretty much.
I just assumed that he would be the type to just have identical backup outfits on hand at any given.
See, I was thinking that too, but like that's in his house, right? Like it's not like
If I were him, I would have stored them in every single room of Hiden.
yeah, like I would have put it in the office because like how many like fights has he lost, got bandaged, and then come back to the office in at this point? Like
Too
a
many.
lot. Yeah,
That's
too
kind of
goddamn.
his thing.
Um, so we finally learn half of Guy's backstory, which is that when he was a kid, he had an overbearing father who had high expectations for him, and he also had a pet robot dog. But
You had a
he
fucking
got
Aibo.
Yep.
when he only got a 99 on one of his tests, his father told him that he was spending too much time with his pet, so he had to put it away.
Man, his dad's a dick. Um, Also, like this kind of gives Guy like this really sad backstory, and I'll get into why that's a problem. Like his dad's a fucking asshole. I wonder if that character is gonna show up again, but like maybe it's
Probably
like
not.
Fua's family. It's like one and done, which is fine for like a one-time actor. Like he comes off as a complete asshole, right?
Right.
Like was Guy's dad Kabuto? Like at this point, like that's my only thing is like yes, why only 100? What the hell is this? Why did you not magically make it like plus 200 even though everybody only got 100,
Right.
right?
Like, you only got 100. Why didn't you get 1,000? That thing that is literally impossible on standardized testing.
Oh man,
But like,
this
that's
is all.
literally not how math works, Dad.
No, no, no. So there's that, and I was like, oh, this is like the opposite of France, where it's like you nobody gets a perfect score, because like you're not allowed to get a perfect score in France, because so it's like it's the test is out of 20, and you can get all the things right, but you'll never get a 20 out of 20, because the thing is like there's always room for improvement. Yeah, it's like one of those weird things about the French education system. But yeah, this is the exact opposite, where it's like, oh, I got the perfect score, but that still wasn't enough. Like, what a dick. Um,
This guy's literally like, I'm dating myself here, but like that really old like pinwheel meme of the Asian dad.
oh god, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It's like B plus on your blood test, failure running through your veins.
Oh
Oh,
yes,
oh,
that's what I was.
that was a there was a joke like that in Gumball too, where Nicole's mom is like, "You got an F in grade, F for female, because I'm a female. Your gender has nothing to do with your poor performance."
Oh my
That's
god
fucking great.
damn! Wow.
Bees make
Uh,
honey. A's make money.
Holy shit. This is so terrible. Like, okay, this is fun to laugh at, but if any of these fucking shit gets said to your kids, like you don't deserve to have kids.
Yeah, no, like honestly, that's terrible, and it's, okay, I don't know what it's like to live in Japan, but like, or even in Asia, but like, I swear, like, this is not the first time I have heard of this happening to someone. I've had lots of people tell me that they have had parents like this. It's not even an Asian thing, but it's I've been told it's a pretty common Asian perspective. I've been told it's a pretty big societal issue in Japan too, which is
yeah,
why
I
you
mean,
see this plot come up so much. It's
yeah,
actually kind of a stock plot in my opinion.
oh, it is, but that's because like the Japanese like education system is kind of stacked to fuck you over.
Yeah, it
So you
is.
kind
It
of just have
really
to be the best of
is.
the best. But at least it's not fucking South Korea because South Korea is even worse than this shit. Where it's like 16
I
hour
mean, the only
days
thing
for
I
students, six days a week.
shit. The only thing
Yeah,
I know
it's
about
it's
South Korea
insane.
and their stuff is their. I know some things about their workforce, so I can imagine how their schools can be similarly bad.
Yeah, I mean like fuck, like Japan's school systems fuck you over because like it's like oh you go to high school. You know how like North American high school is like oh everything in high school is just to make you pass the high school exams, right? And they
Yeah,
don't really teach you that much. It's more just like we're teaching you shit because it's important for the exam and not really important for anything else. Whereas Japan is like, here's shit you need to know for high school. Oh, by the way, the universities, they all put their tests on the same day, and all of the shit is not going to get taught in high school because the universities pick their own damn subjects. And they're not standardized at all. So have fun, assholes. And if you fuck up, better study for a whole year to redo that test. So
because
yeah,
yeah,
like we were saying,
how
is
do they
like the
expect people to do that?
it's fucked up. Oh, and that's without them being sexist because like yeah, the whole like sexism thing of like intentionally failing female students, especially for like
Jeez.
yeah, like stacking the things because the thing is like yeah, if you lose like it's not like oh just go fucking do an upgrade thing and then take the test in a couple months or a semester. It's like no, study for a whole year and then maybe get the questions that are on there because it's not standardized. So like it could be any subject. So that's why you
I
always
just
see like
realized.
the whole thing of like night school and people like cramming super hard is because like
Yeah,
they're not teaching you the university shit at
I
high
just
school.
yeah.
Maybe they are, but like you have to basically do your own damn study to get into university. And that's why we were like, holy shit, Emu's amazing because he's like, oh, I want to be a doctor in high school and he actually made it.
Well, yeah, he is basically supposed to be a genius, so
Well,
like
sort
no,
of,
I mean like
but the thing is like the system was so stacked against them and that's why it's like it puts into perspective like how much
oh,
hard
he has
work he
time to
had
be
to
a
put
Tekken
in.
champion at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like it puts into perspective how much hard work he did to get into it because he did the tournament and then he got sick and then he decided to be a doctor, right? In
Yeah,
high
like
Right.
I
school.
could do maybe one of those things a year. No,
Yeah.
like even if I mean then again I've been fucking studying for my career for like 7 years, and even that's exhausting, and I don't have my career yet. So actually, like, yeah, I could participate in attempting one of those things, including getting sick each year, flat out. Like, yeah, I've been to school once this year. I'm done. Oh, I got sick once this year. I'm fucking done.
So, meanwhile, Fuwa has a conversation with Yua about her future now that everything.
Yeah, which kind of ties back into we forgot to talk about like two scenes last week, which is the Fua Yua scene and then the Jin Izu scene. Um, so I guess we can tie back into that. I mean, it's pretty much the this like continuation of last week's thing where it's like Yua feels like she doesn't belong and she fucked up super hard and Fu trying to help her.
But then Fu is just like, what? That's what you're beating yourself up over?
Right, and it's like Fu is just being like the typical like secondary like headstrong idiot. Um, except in this case, it kind of works where it's like, dude, bigger problems, like not the time for this shit. Right. The weird thing though is the solution is, oh, go back to leading aims, but I'm like, Fua, you're the captain. Why is Yua leading your team?
He's not the captain anymore. He
Yeah, I know, but
quit.
like fucking Yua wasn't the captain either, so it
She
doesn't make any.
became the captain after he quit.
I guess. Um, but like the problem is the grunts are like, oh, it sucked when Zaya took over. I'm like, that's when Yua was the captain. So like, yeah, it's a touching moment, but I'm like writer, did you forget what the hell you wrote? So I'm like, oh, that's kind of a small like issue there. But I mean, like, I get it. Maybe they liked Yua as the team leader more than Fua because Fua's kind of a dumbass, honestly, like just charging head first into everything. So it makes sense. But yeah, they have like a really good, like, honestly, they're kind of reached this point where it's like you could just have a show with just them. They have such a good dynamic going.
Yeah, but they
With
have this like really cool thing that they do where they always like this even relates to how there's the uh wait, sorry, hold on. I gotta go back to the notes here real quick. There's the there's the Jin Izu scene. Yeah, I figured it was Jin Izu. There's the Fua Yua scene. There's these pairings of characters that the pairings are comparable to the other pairings, and it kind of it goes between like the A plot and the B plot and the C plot each episode, and it just has this like nice rhythm to it that like makes sense if you know the characters. Uh, it kind of rewards you for knowing their character dynamics.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, because like that's one of the things that like I mean, the main writer who wrote this wrote XA. Like, it seems that like what he's really good at is like characters, which is nice. Like
Yeah.
maybe not at the same level as Kobayashi, but like uh like, not like freaking Deno or Oz or something or Ryuki, but pretty damn close. Uh Whereas like he is a little better plotting of plot, or like definitely foreshadowing than Kobayashi. So I'm like, I will give him that. So it's maybe not as like amazing 100% character stuff, but he makes up for it with like a lot better foreshadowing to things. So that's cool. The one problem I do have with this writer is like, I'm like, okay, this is like a fucking Koichi Tsukamoto problem. Shit, no, wrong person. Um,
Kobayashi?
no. I'm thinking of like, yeah, who wrote Naruto?
Oh,
Oh shit.
Kishimoto.
Kishimoto. Yeah, the Kishimoto problem of like everything for like friendship and bonds, and like I'm not gonna give up on you because like, and the thing is like that theme comes up over and over, and it's like, why are you doing this, right? And it's like, all right, he had a brother and they kind of like had a falling out, right? So like then he just writes characters where it's like it's the same problem except this time he wins, right? um and whereas like the writer of 01 and X8 is like, right, like asshole dads are just a thing in all of his stories, it seems. I'm like, was your dad an asshole? Because I'm like, this is like Inoue levels of shit where it's like Inoue's dad wrote the Showa era, and Inoue did like a lot of defining stuff for Heisei era. So it's like his thing was like, oh, I'm gonna not do Showa. I'll do Showa with a twist, just to like maybe surpass my dad. I don't know. Like the point was like there was a little bit of thing like maybe there's some rivalry going on with Inoue and his dad or something. But like here it's definitely like, was your dad an asshole? because like because like your whole plot. I know you're putting up the image of like asshole dads,
Yeah.
right? Right? But
It's so consistent.
it's true. Yeah, but the difference is like uh well Dark Kiva doesn't count. That's not the same thing, right?
Okay, fair enough. Like it's they were kind of reaching there, but this image is like 3 years old, so we have plenty more people we can put in there.
Right. Um yeah, that's true. Which is true because like it's the same problem with what the hell? The guy who wrote Double and stuff. But the difference is Double's writer makes that person like the asshole dad a villain, whereas like X8 and Zero One's writer makes them just a backstory element. Well, I guess like Kronos is a villain, but like I feel like Guy's dad is not gonna show up, right?
That's fair. Like, God, that would I
That
would
that would be weird, but the
fucking
thing is like
I would be screaming.
yeah, that's like some Coast level shit where it's like Coast movie where it's like Spectre is really pissed at his dad, and then his dad shows up and it's like he's still pissed at his dad, and it's like, oh well, I guess my dad wasn't such an asshole after all. It's like, oh, I guess there's an image of that right there in the top right,
Yeah.
um, which was really stupid. But I guess the counter argument is the crossover movie where you figure out like Aruto's grandfather wasn't such a nice dude, and like his robot dad was kind of an asshole too. Well, I guess his robot dad's complicated, right?
Yeah,
Anyway,
well, I don't know the thing with this robot dad because I haven't seen the robot dad movie.
dude, that movie is actually really good. Like all the
Damn.
fucking Generation movies are all solid.
They actually fucking are. I even didn't think that I liked Forever that much, and then I rewatched on the Team Rider stream, and I'm like, hey, maybe it's just because this is live streaming, but I actually like this movie better the second time.
Oh, dude, they actually. So you actually caught that live stream? Yeah, I didn't even know
Yeah,
that was a
all I
fucking.
did was all I did was do shout outs to like other Toku people.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Uh, apparently, like people in Japan are actually fucking taking notice that stream, or at least like Josh Knight the first was saying that, where he's like, hey, you know, actual Toei producers and like Agito's actor is like interacting with like Western fans and shit. I'm like, fucking finally. I guess like Toei Tokusatsu World has like, well, last time I checked, it had like 50,000 subs. So I don't know how high it is now, but like maybe they realize, oh right, this shit actually does have an audience. It's weird that
Fucking
they introduced like a crossover movie with like so many fucking writers, but I'm like, well, you
it
know,
makes sense, now that I've actually seen it again. The movie hits different if you're specifically watching it in that context. Like that's the best way I know how to put it without going on and on
okay,
and
okay,
on.
that's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean it's cool that like Ryder is finally breaking into the West because like you know Sentai's always kind of had a presence because Power Rangers, uh, Godzilla and Ultraman have started to re-come back to the West. Garo's kind of established its own thing linked to the West. So it's like it's nice that Ryder, like you know, the final one of the big four is coming to the West, or at least starting to. So that's nice.
I just want to be able to be like, hey, this thing I like is a thing you can actually watch without me needing to teach you how to torrent.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I
it
was also gonna
like
say it's like now all the Flash
it's
people
hard to
can get
teach
all the
people.
Kabuto jokes because like
Yeah,
every Flash like stream, like somebody's gonna make the clock up or 1 2 3 reference, and all the Western people are like, what the fuck are you on about, right?
Radar Kiku.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, it's gonna be great. Um, but yeah, that is super cool. Um, not so cool, guy's dad, fucking asshole.
Yeah, so
Uh,
Ai-chan gets to make friends with Guy this episode. She's making friends with everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at this
she's
point,
making friends with everybody. She's like just wrapping the plot's loose ends up so we can fucking skip to the ending because we're
yeah,
probably gonna lose some episodes through the
right.
Yeah,
hiatus.
yeah. The
I was I was pretty much
the
thinking it was gonna be Satellite Thea versus the Arc, where it's like the Arc is basically Ultron and Satellite Thea is like Vision. But I'm like at this point, like Thea might be fucking gone, or maybe not. Depends on what the hell happens next episode. But like at this point, it might as well just be Aichan versus fucking Satellite. I mean, versus the Arc, which is gonna be the most insane plot point
See,
possible.
I liked Aichan and Yua, and I liked Aichan and Fuwa.
Oh, that was
Aichan and
so good.
Fuwa those two got a lot of time to work with each other. Um, and at that point, I kind of think it's good that the other two times she appeared were kind of brief because we already got that counseling scene. We didn't want the show to just become about counseling. And so
Right, I mean, we
basically,
could do that, but then the show becomes like Kiva or Ghost.
that'd be ridiculous.
And the thing is, like, most
But
people hate those shows for some goddamn
yeah,
reason. Which is, I'm like,
I mean,
that
like, I don't
sucks.
think it's bad. I just kind of think that doing that in this context would be kind of
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
like we
But
have no
but when
time.
but when it's with Yua, I like that she made the determination that oh hey, this is what proves to me that AIs aren't just tools. I really feel this connection. I'm like, okay, great. Now you can be in the plot again. Um, and now
Yeah.
with Guy, oh god. So
Well,
yeah.
it's
to be fair, Guy Arc, I mean not Arc, Aichan got an assist with Satellite there. So and the power of Sony product placement, Guy pretty much might as well instead of being presented by Zaya, might as well be presented by Sony in this episode.
You gave him a. You're just like, yeah, this guy's like the worst war criminal of all time. Let's give him a fucking dog.
like okay.
That'll solve
Right.
it.
Here,
It's the Gills backstory of like, oh no, feel bad for him, but like,
here,
hey, he's got a dog now.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not too little. It's just too late.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my problem was I'm like, oh no, that's really sad, and that sucks, and it kind of explains why Guy's a messed up asshole. But I'm like, Daybreak still exploded.
Like, I don't care why he's an asshole anymore. This dude needs to be in fucking federal prison.
That's what it comes down to. Like, I don't want him to be a good guy at this point. And it's disappointing to see that that's what they're trying to pull here at the very end.
It's so
Like,
sappy. Like maybe they will give him his punishment in the end, but right now it seems so sappy that it's fucking ridiculous.
like
I'm here laughing my ass off, and like yeah, it is kind of hilariously funny, but like I think they meant it to be funny because haha action dog, not because what the fuck actually is this story anymore.
like Dan worked because they were setting him up since the second arc, like since his defeat as the initial villain and his return as a bugster. Like going from
Yeah,
being
and he's
forced.
still considered a bastard in the text of the story.
Yeah, no,
Still
he's
punished.
a fucking asshole and no one likes him.
Even the one time that he gets people to appreciate what he's done, it's still extremely bitter. They're just like, yep, I mean, like, I don't know if I necessarily want to go into details of what it was, but, like, I'm thinking in, like, his last movie, when everybody is finally seeing what Kuroto wanted to do for the world, they're just like, yeah, he sure got his point across the most Kuroto way fucking possible. He's still an asshole, but I get it.
Like, so we only got half his backstory here because we got the part of his backstory that was, all right, this is why he's obsessed with perfection because his father was overbearing. Why is he obsessed with hidden intelligence? Okay, they made a robot dog that he liked as a kid, but what made him obsessed with them.
Well, I mean, he did work with like Arto's grandfather, so like
And we have no
maybe
information
yeah,
about that, is what I'm saying.
right. Like we still don't know why he doesn't age, right?
Uh,
Like, is
right.
he a
I'm
fucking
wondering.
robot at this point? Like, unlikely, but like the whole thing of like, oh, one, 100% is not enough. Like, shit, did his dad push him into being a cyborg? Right? Like, it's possible, but like again, it's so fucking late. And the thing is, like, he's done such fucked up shit. Like, I would be able to forgive it. It's like, oh, okay, you corrupted the Ark. Fine, that's messed up, but it's like it's one thing. But the thing is, like, no, that caused like a whole town to explode, right? So it's like, yeah, there's like problems here, right? Like, if he was just corrupting the Ark and it's like, all right, that's fucked up and that damaged some shit, but like maybe we could fix it if you help us defeat it and put shit right. But it's like, what about all the dead people? Like you can't fix that shit.
And then, so you guys remember O's? You remember the doctor who was like the main villain at the end, and you get that one
Maki.
yeah, Maki. You remember how at the end, near the end, like you get that one episode that explains like why he wants to end the fucking world.
Oh, him and his sister with
Yeah, that
the
whole
panda.
abusive sister situation.
Holy shit. Yeah, that was fucked up. But the thing is, like, people weren't like, okay, like Maki now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what should have happened here. Like, yeah, give us an understanding as to why he's a villain. Sure, don't make us sympathize with him afterwards.
Right? I feel like this is one of the faults where it's like, oh, I redeemed Kuroto, therefore I can basically redeem any character. And it's like, no, like Kuroto is an asshole, but like he didn't cross the line. Right? Like he didn't murder people. Whereas like
I
Kuroto is
mean,
basically like the
well, he kind
maximum
of
you can.
did,
Yeah, kind of.
but
But the thing is, like Kuroto is like the maximum you can go until like Kuroto is like 99% evil, but can be redeemed.
okay, like
Whereas like
they make him likable, but I don't think that they say that he is going to be accepted for what he did.
that's fair. But like I feel like Rye's correct where it's like the show's gonna pull its punches and like guy's gonna get away with it. Because it's sort of like the Mad Rogue thing, but except even worse, because like I'm like I mean like
Mad Rogue
Mad
was just
Rogue
like
at
a
least
corrupt
not
politician,
not Mad Rogue, I mean just
or not
Rogue,
Mad
but
Rogue,
yeah, yeah,
regular
yeah.
Rogue, yeah.
So like I feel like Rogue, you can kind of be like, all right, he was infected with nebula gas, so it made him crazier than he would be, and and like after he got free, he tried to fix the country. Whereas like Guy, literally till the last second didn't do anything, right? Like
Either way, I feel like
actively
he's only
try,
doing shit because like I feel like if you took his dog away, he would just go back to being a bastard.
right? Like if the Ark just or anybody shot his dog, like he's just gonna kill everyone, right? And
I've only been friends with Thouser for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everybody around me and then myself.
oh my god, oh man, what is that from like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
I've only seen the fucking meme. I don't even know what it's
Oh
from.
yeah. I think that's from like Brooklyn Nine-Nine when it's like the like stereotypical tough guy female cop gets like a cat or something. Um, I haven't seen that show, but I think that's what that scene's from.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, you're right. Like this is not a basis for a hero. Like, all right, maybe he dies. Fine. I can kind of let it slide that he is an anti-hero now. If he becomes a good guy, fuck off, Shell. Like, you were doing so good. Like, this is not necessary. Like, you even
Okay.
redeemed the freaking vice president squad, right? Like, they became sort of
Yeah.
useful. But, like,
They're,
what
they're
the hell?
actually I can kind of get behind that. They're kind of all right because they didn't fucking commit like irredeemable
Right.
sins against humanity.
Right, like, they were being scumbags to Aruto. They weren't being unreasonable. They weren't being fucking illegal assholes.
Just
Right.
just the average corrupt businessman. And honestly, like, I mean, I'm talking about like the salaryman who undercuts his coworkers to get ahead, not like fucking immense company scandal, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, think about it like this. Like, okay, you can say, all right, he didn't comprehend how damaging the arc would be. Like, maybe he, like, the explosion in Daybreak was like nowhere near anything that he wanted to, because in that movie, like, he's not even mentioned, but like we know that he's the reason why some of that happened. So it's like, all right,
Oh.
we can let that slide. It's huge, but let's put that aside. But like everything in the show, right? Like, remember all the fucking people he tried pretty much to murder, pretty much, right? Or like the fucking fire one, right? Almost getting people burned to death.
Right, literal, real lives are on the line. Not just like, alright, we're staging this for the sake of running a test. Like, no, an actual fire broke out, actual people are going to die. Hey, make this part of the challenge.
Right.
I'm actually wondering something else. So when Guy was a kid, he had the original Thouser model,
Yep.
but he was a student. You know, he was an intelligent kid, but still basically an average kid. You know, it's not like he was running a company or anything. He didn't have a job, I don't think. How did he afford Thouser? Did his dad get him Thouser? And if so, why did his dad have a problem with him forging a bond with the robot dog that he bought specifically to forge a bond with? That's what the dog does. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I feel like the answer to that is like, oh, it's a reward for getting the mark. But I'm like, his dad was already not okay with the mark, so it's like,
You know,
I,
like how
well,
if what there's literally nothing Guy could have done to please his dad. He can do perfectly, and his dad will make up a new impossible figure for him to try to achieve.
well,
1000%. Literally doesn't make sense.
yeah. So the thing is like, maybe it's feeding into the thing where like the whole abuse angle the show's got going on, like the US storyline and everything.
Oh, they
And may
gave him the dog to take it away.
well, kind of. Oh no, no, that is dark. But like I wasn't going with that. But holy shit, like that is some fucked up levels of narcissism right there. If he did
Like I
that,
can imagine his dad doing that.
yeah, I could imagine it. But Jesus, I wasn't fucking imagining that. But like, yeah, I could see it. But what I meant is like, more. It's like maybe Guy and US story is like abuse just continues abuse. Um, So it's like, guy had this like fucked up dad and it messed him up, and then like he like continues to like hurt other people working for him. So it's like this whole cycle
I feel
of
like
like violence. And I'm like, this is a little too deep going into the storyline, but I'm like, it's possible it's there, or it's possible I'm reading too much into it.
I feel like
But
we
especially
should have
considering,
I feel like we
yeah,
should
go
have
ahead.
learned about his daddy issues at least 10 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Right?
Like,
Like in the middle of a freaking challenge. Okay, you know what? That would explain why he's trying so hard to win the challenge arcs.
I would have liked it if that's what we could have gotten that at the end of the challenge arcs of like, all right, he's won, and then we get that backstory as context for it. Like, that would have worked.
We kind of
Agreed.
spent a lot of the story trying to redeem uh but it's like if we didn't make her Guy's tool to begin with, we could have actually had like good Guy backstory.
No, well, I think the whole reason Guy has to be such an abusive piece of shit is because he has to be a foil for for Arto. Well, maybe not a foil, but like a contrast.
I'm just
Because like art.
disappointed that fucking Yua had to go through so much
Oh
shit before she
yeah.
got to be a character, and I feel like we could have just filled that time with. I don't know. Maybe this is just my personal thing. I just kind of wanted the first like female main writer, like not main, like in the like main character cast of the show to like not spend most of their not most of their screen time, but like a substantial part of their screen time like being abused. Kind of not what I was looking forward to for this landmark. Kind of think they
Yeah.
could have done something else.
I know. I mean, I feel like this is a problem. Like, this is just the hero arc, except projected onto Yua, which makes it even worse. Whereas, like, Hero at least got to be the secondary writer. Whereas, like, Yua gets to be okay. One, she's the longest living female writer. Great. But her competition was what Mayu from Wizard, who was also a female writer, but also the third writer. Also didn't get a great arc, but was a good character. So it's like you're literal repeating the problems of that arc over
Here's
And
at
it's also
least.
here's the
it's
difference.
tertiary writer syndrome, you know. Oh, go ahead. Go
Here's
ahead.
the difference. That girl from Wizard only appeared in like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
kind
like
of
I
just in the
think I
prologue.
think they're actually repeating the tertiary writer problem. Like Yua's a lot like Machine Chaser. It's just that
Oh yeah.
the coding is different because we literally have this like basically we have this woman going through workplace harassment. Uh,
Yeah,
like
you're right.
look how she has that like jackal raid riser key. She's literally themed after death. She's a lot like Machine Chaser, the Shinigami. But it's coded with this workplace harassment subtext, and then I'm just like, I see why you did this. I don't think you did this on purpose, but this
Yeah,
comes
like
off bad.
right. Like I feel like you wrote. Oh shit. I'm a writer who doesn't know how to be a writer because I've got my agency taken away. And it's like, yeah, we've had
Because that
that.
happens all the time.
It
Yeah.
happens all the time with common writers. The problem is like not a female common writer, and not her boss. You
Not the
know, like
first one, at least. Not the first like real one that we get in the show. Like at
right.
least
I
save that
mean,
for the second one.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say
If you have to do it.
at least she got to kick Bowser's ass,
I
unlike
mean, yeah, I
Mayu,
like
who
that. But
who never got to finish off Medusa and never got to like get a full ending to her arc properly, which was such
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah,
Um,
fair enough.
or like any of the female writers from Fies, but what are you gonna do? Oh shit! Even the fucking female writers from God damn man, that was so annoying. Kiva, where it's like, oh fucking like they do the fighting, but like Otoya and Nago get the kill at the end. I'm like, God damn, that was bullshit. Um,
Hey, at least we have Kivala.
yeah, yeah, right. The only female writer to defeat a writer, and she's never appeared ever again.
I like Kivala. Show up again. Does she at least show up in Overcourtser? I haven't seen that movie
No,
yet. Just tell
she
me she shows
doesn't.
up.
They are
She
enough
does
female,
not.
right? That's what
Common
annoyed.
No Writer gets to show up and Kivala doesn't?
Yes,
Dude,
as he
dude,
should be.
dude, I was gonna say like that's what annoyed me the most about like the Zero One crossover movie. I'm like, this is the first movie with two female writers um who didn't fucking die. Can they have a
Yeah,
scene?
like
No,
what if
they cannot
they
have a
did the
scene.
what if they did the like Avengers Endgame thing where like
Dude, I would be
we get
so down with that.
Tsukuyomi and Valkyrie and then like Poppy and Femme and Kivala and like just
Yeah,
Nadeshiko and everyone
Tackle
else. That'd be
and
fucking awesome.
Narushiko and Mage and like fucking there's a we have female
There,
writers.
there's
It's just
like
they
10
literally never
female writers.
yeah, it's freaking great. They never show up. That's what I'm like, okay. But Yuo was like super fucking badass in that movie. Like Tsukiyomi was all right because she's
Tsukiyomi was
Ryuka.
underplayed.
Yeah.
Look, I'm
What
just
do
saying, like, Kamen No Rider is pretty based, but, like, I just would have really liked to see Kivala show back up somehow.
Okay, we got No Rider, we got Manga Kuga, we got G.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad about those, but
You
there's just, is it wrong for
instead
me
of
to ask for
Kivala, I
more when you've been
wanted
given
to
so much?
the number one option I would have been fine with is Nadeshiko because like Nadeshiko flies off into space. She's a slime monster going into a
Yeah.
wormhole in space. Like literally, she can show up into anywhere, anytime. Right? Like she could just fucking show up in Ultraman if she wanted to, and it would perfectly work. Right? So
Okay,
I'm like,
so
not getting that
what
character
if
back is so annoying.
what if she fought alongside Grigio? That'd be so cool.
Ooh, sorry. Could you repeat that?
Like Ultra Woman Grigio
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grigio,
That
however
would
you
be
say her
cool.
name. Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
cool.
I know what you're talking about. That would be cool.
Uh, so, uh, Ikazuchi leads the arc to the control facility for satellite Zaya. I guess it is. I don't remember. Uh, where they plan on taking out the satellite once and for all, since it's their biggest obstacle in trying to control all human gear in the world. Haruto shows up to fight against them, but they're too powerful for him. And so Thouser steps in to help him out because he loves heat and intelligence.
Yeah, because they gave him a puppy, a robot puppy. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Even Naruto is just like, you're kidding, right?
Right? I know, right? Like, this is like Sony's greatest product placement. Like, the world is saved because of Sony product placement. Like, Jesus Christ, man, what is this, a James Bond movie? Um, but that was insane. At least Arto's like reacting like this is insane. Like, what the hell is happening? I mean, there's the whole Jin thing, and like we'll get into Matsuro Jinrai in a bit, but like this was fucking insane. Like, what did you think when you saw this?
I thought, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch?
I mean,
Yeah,
okay, so like I thought that it was sad when Kazuchi brought the Ark to the space station. There that was a little sad, but then it's followed up with like this comedic, this almost comedic scene where the fucking dog just like flies in and is like made in like this bad CGI that looks like a fucking Wii game. And
dude,
like,
I'm fine with it. Like, it's
I
probably
mean,
only there for one shot, but yeah, you're right. You can notice
it
when the toy turns into CGI superpower.
it makes it kind of like more unintentionally funny. Like it's funny for the wrong reasons because this was the moment where I went into like, okay, yeah, they're committing to this fucking
Yeah, yeah,
guy and his
yeah.
dog.
Aibo is
We're
now
gonna be seeing a
Friender
lot more of them.
or God, shit. What's the other one? What's Blue Falcon's dog?
Oh, Robomot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's either Friender or Robomart has now Aibo has turned into that. It's the most ridiculous,
Brenda.
right? Like, all right, if you want to go fucking Kashurn, sure, let's go Kashurn.
Okay, like if God, now that I know that the show is committing to having this dog around and having
Well,
this
I'm
be like
not
an
sure
element
how
of
long the
Guy's
dog's gonna stick around,
personality,
but sorry,
it
go ahead.
feels like a thing. Like it feels like them putting it in this scene makes it a thing. And I want
Yeah, maybe
and
it's
now I'm
like
just like if it's gonna really be a thing, I want to see this like dog fucking bite somebody in like they're all in their civilian forms and trying to get out of like a bad situation, and then guys just like sick 'em, Thouser.
oh my god. Oh man. Oh, it's like oh shit. There's like a okay, not Shinobi, but there's another one where it's like it's a ninja game, but his like dog companion is a thing. Fuck, I don't remember
Oh
the name.
god, that sounds familiar. I want to say it's
Like
Wait,
it was
Oh
a
god,
16.
I played it as a I played it
What,
as a kid. I
what was
fucking
it?
Yeah, like it
swear.
was a 16-bit game, and then they made a 3D version a couple of years ago.
Oh no, I was thinking of Wrath of Tenchu, but I guess that didn't have a dog. I don't know. I haven't played that game in 20 years.
Fair enough.
Um,
But like that would be interesting. Um,
my expectations for this show after this fight are like a little shot. Like I'm gonna keep watching it, and I'm sure parts of it are still going to be enjoyable. But I'm just like, okay, 01, you do you.
yeah,
I don't have to.
I
You've proved I don't have to take you seriously anymore.
well, the thing is, like, the show was solid until that happened. I was like, okay, I would believe this more if we got the damn robot dog from Deca Ranger, right?
It's been awkward to me ever since they started making new content during and after the hiatus. Like ever since the specials, it's been a little shaky. 36, 37, 38 are all kind of shaky for me. There's good parts to them, but like it's
I
getting
mean, how can you top fucking Zaya underwear?
So
I kind of do want them boxers though.
God
first,
damn it!
for scheduling purposes, 01 did get cut down to 45 episodes. I don't know how many episodes were cut, but it's possible that maybe there was going to be more to Thouser's backstory redemption that they decided to just gloss over and give the cliff notes.
If you put it in a V Cinema, I'll fucking watch it. I'll say that much. If they take all that stuff they canceled, put in a V Cinema, I'll be like, fine, I'll check it out. I watched all the Ghost movies. And V Cinemas. I can do this.
Yeah, I was gonna say like because the last guy V Cinema or like special thing just ended up being a special for Naki, which is great, but it's like it didn't really
I
have
love
that much to do with Guy, did it?
I love Naki in these past few episodes though. By the way, that's been fucking great.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you. Honestly, like this is what I wanted to fucking. I'll talk about this later, but yeah, I wanted to talk about Naki. So we get like first main stay. Let's go with that. Yeah, female writer because she's not dead yet. Um, been here most of the show, pretty solid for the most part. And then first non-binary writer, also character and writer.
I like that
Thoughts?
they gave them like the spotlight in for like a few scenes. They're like, okay, we're gonna introduce this new writer, kind of a landmark achievement, and so we're gonna be like, let's give them a couple scenes to show what they can do. Pretty awesome. I like that they did that. They have done less for other new writers that got added towards the ends of shows. I feel like honestly, Naki has gotten to do more so far than Tsukiyomi did. So this is pretty cool. I'm
Yes,
happy to see them.
considering Tsukuyomi's contribution was she henshined and then immediately died.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much right. Um, yeah, Tsukimo was
Like I know
bad.
they're trying to cram a lot into the end here, so just the fact that Naki got a few highlighted scenes once they finally became a writer has been like pretty pleasing to see so far. Plus the suit is just slick and like I don't know, did they I don't think this was intentional, but the fact that like white is normally the part of pride flags that it represents the non-binary community and Naki is a white writer, like
Oh,
that's
that
so
is cool.
cool. That works so well for me, and plus it just looks so slick. Just that black and white. I know half the suit is made out of reused 01 parts, but it still looks so
I
good.
mean, like all of them are. I mean, what do you think of the whole like Japanese wolf?
Yeah, I think the white might have been more come from the Japanese wolf, but I don't know. I wasn't the costume designer.
Well, I mean, maybe that's I don't know. I want to say it would make me happy if they picked a wolf that's known for being white because of its color. I don't know. Like, I feel like Japanese wolf is kind of a mouthful, but on the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
hand, I fucking love hearing it. Japanese wolf.
Like,
I
yeah,
don't know.
alright, fine,
I
Toei,
don't.
I'll buy your stupid cool toys, because they're awesome.
Kind of.
Like,
Like honestly, I
I'm
don't
just
like the
obsessed with
name,
it
but
right now.
the suit is nice. Also, it kind of makes sense because like it's based off of Vulcan, and Vulcan's a wolf rider.
Yeah, like that works. I'm glad that Naki is some sort of wolf. I feel like that works because of that.
Yeah. Um, honestly, what the best shit is just seeing like the behind the scenes footage of them just hanging out. How like Naki just like blends in perfectly with all the other writers. Ah, it's so cool. Um,
Yeah.
but but um, as for this episode, like Naki and Jin kind of have a moment. I feel like Naki and Jin are definitely gonna try to take out the arc again. Um, Hirobi will
Yeah.
probably either try to take out the arc or die defending Jin or reawaken because Jin's in danger because that seems to be his arc. Ikazuki probably reawakened this episode or started again because he went
He
to the
he had a
center.
memory flash from seeing his old work site, so he's probably going to be pushed into remembering when he worked for the satellite Zaya and how he was on that side.
Yeah, I also do like how like the arc's whole thing is like, yeah, I can predict your movement, and it actually predicts everyone's movements, right? I mean, like their movements are pretty cliche, but it's like, yeah, its gimmick is I know what the hell you're gonna do, and it actually delivers, right?
They've
It's
been
like,
kind of doing that a lot in 01. Like that's why I really like Metal Cluster Hopper because it's like the perfect. It's not as powerful as Arc Zero, but like it looks like it's got the right type of abilities to fight Arc Zero. So if Naruto can gain some type of advantage, I know he's gonna get the 02 form, and that's probably gonna be even better for
spoilers.
fighting Arc Zero. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking like Vashi's like, oh, that name's weird, and I didn't know, and I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a fucking ZO2 situation, isn't it?
to
Literally.
be fair, we always. I'm not trying to justify myself, but like my main point that I'm trying to get at is we know that there's always a final form, and that we're
Oh
not
yeah.
there in the plot for that. And obviously, the final form is going to be better than the previous one at doing what the previous form did.
Well, I know we're
So
just
this
making
whole it's
fun of
this
how bad
predictive.
Toei.
Wait, yeah, we were just making fun of Toei's bad naming conventions.
Oh yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
saying like it's gonna be like a predictive AI battle, and I think that that's something that like the special effects in 01 really demonstrate well. Like how Metal Cluster Hopper's kind of based off the idea of the gray slime effect, where like
Oh, the
nanobots
gray goo.
consume everything
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
swarm of locusts. Like the
Yep.
grasshoppers are kind of made to look like locusts. They make that like buzzing noise and everything. And then like we see how Arc Zero's predictive capabilities are even stronger than Metal Cluster Hoppers. It's done really well.
Honestly, the one thing that's kind of annoying me is like, I'm like, all right, Arto, you know you're weaker than the Arc, especially when you use the sword to limit the power of your damn suit.
It
Get
doesn't
rid
limit
of
the
the sword.
power. It doesn't limit the power of the suit. It suppresses the Ark's will so that it doesn't override Aruto.
All right, right. Okay, that's fair then. Yeah, because oh yeah, you're right. I was constantly thinking that it's Thea's power. I'm like, why won't you just let it take over? But you're right. If it's the Arc trying to control it, then yeah, he kind of needs that damn sword. Even though
Yes.
I fucking hate that sword. It's hideous. Like that suit
It
is
looks
really
really
nice.
awkward from the like it looks fine from the side with all action going on it, but then there's the side that's just yellow, and I just go oh. But also, there's no blue on MCH's outfit, so then the blue doesn't work with that. It is mismatched.
It's
It should
very
be
much
different
a sword
colors.
that was designed for a different suit.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
like the worst part is that suit looks so nice, and then that sword exists, and I'm like, ah, hideous.
Alright. Uh,
Um,
so we've been going for an hour now. Why don't we wrap this up?
yeah.
All right, so let's see here. What else happened? There was the fight. The fight was okay, but it symbolized something I don't like. What else happened?
There was the
Um,
fight in the freaking HQ.
yeah,
And that was actually pretty good because like they're shooting the show a lot more dramatic now. Like it's a lot more
Yeah, I
closed in,
liked
and
it. That was intense.
Like
yeah,
it
that's
was
what I was saying.
like I called it pathetic, but that was literally just referring to Bowser's performance as pathetic because he is no longer at his best. He is falling from grace.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the fact that it illustrates this extremely like tense moment where you go, okay, this is not supposed to be happening in a place of business. Like, this is fucked up, and you're not supposed to be using weapons in here. It's close quarters, very dangerous. Aruto has to calculate like several different things at once to make sure everybody's safe. Izu fucking yeets that one guy fucking onto the
Yeah,
top floor.
yeah.
The
So
vice president, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
at first when I saw that it was like, oh, where do you think you're going? And then she yeeted him over, and it's like, oh, it's like, hey, get up there faster.
faster, yeah. Though that's one of the other things is like the vice president group was pretty necessary in that fight because they're one of the few people who actually react like people would react if fucking two crazy psychos in exo suits were fighting in front of you. Because
Right.
like they could literally chop them in half any second now,
As it's
right? Like
shown when the briefcase or like whatever was in that the foreground of that scene just got
oh yeah,
sliced cleanly in half by that clunky, awkwardly shaped plastic sword that could in no way make them like
yeah,
recover or
yeah. It's
whatever.
so true. Oh man,
Where's the
that's
edge of that blade? I don't
who
know.
who cares? It's
Ask Toei.
imaginary. It's the power of
It's more like
CGI.
a bludgeoning weapon, but okay.
God damn. Oh man. I wish it was a fucking bludgeoning. I wish the era of fucking axes would come back just because like who cares at this point? Just hit them. Right?
Doesn't there is that one axe. There's the axe that turns into a gun.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. We had like an era of like a couple different riders with the axe weapons. I'm like, all right, those didn't quite work, but like for this form, I'd be fine with it because like it's just pure power. It doesn't give a shit. All
Yeah.
right. Anyway, yeah, that fight was interesting. Like they're doing pretty interesting. Like at least every episode, there's like an interesting shot. At least so
Yeah,
they're
it's not
still
like a bad
experimenting.
show, but it's got some strong weaknesses.
Oh
But
yeah,
it's
like
it's
anything to
still
do
a
with
good
Guy
show.
is just the worst at this point. Like it's not terrible, but that's because like Guy's a decent actor, this is a decent writer, but like this plot line just what the hell is this even doing here at this point? Like why is he even around? Like the arc is clearly the villain.
Right, like it feels like it feels like he's around to like be redeemed, but it's like we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Just let the arc be fucking terrifying, because the arc is actually kind of fucking terrifying. Just let him
Oh
do that.
yeah.
That's good. It works.
Yeah.
Give him some
Um
room to spread his horrible nanobite wings or nanobot wings.
kind of. I was going to say what did you think of you know how like last episode Jin sent his data to someone?
Yeah.
Who do you think he sent it to?
Fuck.
Um,
Like any
okay.
ideas?
Either Satellite Zaya or whoever rebuilt him, which could also be Satellite Zaya.
Yeah, I don't think it's Satellite Zaya because Satellite
Uh,
Zaya's colors are
at,
blue.
at this point, like, I'm willing to believe anything. We've got like 6 episodes left, and we still don't know.
Okay, so like, I kind of think it might have been Izu, because Izu had that like, okay, like in that one special there was Azu, and I feel like because of that, maybe it was just convenience to reuse an actress, but I kind of feel like there is going to be more with that, where there's a connect, especially because like the intro kind of foreshadows it, that there's a connection with uh Izu and Metsubo Jinrai and the arc, I feel like there's supposed to be some kind of connection plot wise with them. So I'm kind of thinking Izu.
Maybe. I mean, that would be interesting because they keep having moments, and it's like Jin damaged Izu, and then like he saved Izu, and they kind of had like a
Exactly.
singularity moment. Like it was interesting, but the problem with like or Azu is like
Oh, right, she
that.
exists.
Yeah, like that character only exists, I think, in the filler because like the whole point of that character is just to build the arc's driver, and like episode left off, episode begins, and like 35 and 36 is like there's no time for Az to do any of that shit. It's literally like, oh, this is like 1 minute after that episode ended. So it's like maybe that character was supposed to exist in the show, but there's no time for that. It's
Yeah,
possible.
maybe. Yeah, maybe it'll just be one of those weird like rushed plot threads that kind of like every single thing that happened at the end of Decade.
Kind of like I feel like there's no like I feel like they know where that plot is going because there's no reason to bring it up again that episode unless they had a reason or unless they knew where that plot was going, because there's no reason to remind us again after the break if they were going to drop that plot line.
I guess it could have just been something done because like the editing process of editing for broadcast is kind of systematic, kind of basically sometimes you just show something because it was relatively the last thing that was shown and you're not really thinking forward because you're the editor and you don't get told these things.
Yeah,
Then again,
possible.
I don't know what they do and don't get told, but you know, it it seems plausible.
Right, like I don't know how Toei edits. Like it could be a movie where the director is sitting with the editor, or it could just be like here's the story, edit this together. Right? Like I don't
Fucking
know what the process
I
is.
mean I know how I edit. I know what I do when people give me footage. I just like try to make everything look consistent, but like sometimes I don't get given the input I need uh to make things happen the exact way that the creator wanted. So, you know, it depends on entirely on communication.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, the way we do stuff and the way like Toei does stuff is different because it's like their production studio. They have a pipeline, so like they won't have as many issues like this. Like, yeah, there's gonna be like screenplay to what shows up on screen. There's gonna be some like lost in translation stuff going on there, possibly misinterpretations, but like it's unlikely there'll be that much. But you're right, they could have been a scene, or maybe it's a scene that got cut or something, but they just had to put it
Yeah,
in.
like that happens all the time in movies. Like there's a whole bunch of shit like that in Suicide Squad, because that movie was edited by people whose job it is to make commercials.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that movie is a whole fucking mess. So
It's just
like,
I'm just saying like there are times where the communication behind what needs to get across from the editing, there's times where that conversation just doesn't happen.
correct. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Suicide Squad is like a whole different issue. Um, that's more of like
Oh, it's a lot of
studio
issues.
meddling in different mandates and shifting mandates and stuff like that. So like we can't count Suicide Squad as like a standard process of anything. Um,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Like that's like a insane like outlier. Like it's its own thing. But I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there anything else we missed?
I think we're set. Uh, Next week's episode is gonna have Aruto and Dowser fighting together, and some more of the arc being the arc.
I
So,
love it. I gotta say, I love it when the arc is the arc.
uh, you know, trying to destroy humanity as he does.
Yeah, how he do. But like, I feel like I'm gonna. I mean, obviously, like, if I'm invested in something for this long, I'm gonna finish it. I also have kind of a policy of I never drop a currently airing uh, series if I get into it. Or no, I guess it's really only for Tokusatsu that I start watching if it's currently airing. I go through to the end just because like the kind
Well,
of
you
the thing
got to
I think
see
is
how it
interesting.
ends.
I gotta see how it ends, but also like I kind of think that the thing that I've learned with Tokusatsu is that even in one franchise, uh, it can be really good or really bad. The consistency is just completely wild, and that's part
Oh
of what I
yeah.
kind of like. That's kind of what I like about it. Like the first time I saw Tokusatsu, I'm like, "What is this crazy bullshit?" And then sometimes it would hit me with plot lines that I actually found really endearing, and it kept me going through it. And it's kind of just like a grab bag of whatever insane pulpy ideas and who can pull them off correctly. So I'm just like,
I
you know
mean,
what?
for
Let's see what they fucking do with Guy and Aruto next episode. Sure. I'm either
yeah,
gonna fucking laugh my ass off at how fucking pathetic of a job they're doing trying to redeem Guy, or I'm gonna actually be like, oh, I see what they did there. That's neat, I guess.
I mean, that's a good point. And for example of just how insane this goddamn franchise is, we have this image of bad dads and from their shows going from, hey, what's your power up? Oh yeah, my dad invented evil heart wheels. Well, they weren't evil. My dad was just an evil asshole which corrupted AI heart wheels into being evil. Right? Oh, what happened? Oh, right. So there's this like other world of like pseudo fascists who tried to create a utopia but had to turn everybody into ghosts. Yeah, now they're gonna try to conquer the earth. Deal with it.
or
Um,
we have like or we have like oh, so there's this mafia that basically sells
drugs,
drugs
except the
made
drugs are
drugs made
USB.
out of all they're made out of all the world's information, and they're about certain topics, and they're stored on these USB drives. And so now we're going to save the world from the drug
Well, not the
epidemic.
world, his city.
We're gonna save the city from the drug epidemic by using the power of drugs.
Yes, yes, yeah. Or well, actually, weirdly, Kiva's like the most normal one, which is yeah, my dad was a legendary vampire slayer. I'm just trying to be as good as him, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like Kiva's the most normal one. Um, and then you get like, oh yes, greatest dad of the year here, fucking Kronos and goddamn dad, or
We got
Alpha and Neo. Take
fucking
your pick.
Kuroto. Kuroto's the biggest fucking player hater of all time. It's just like, hey, somebody told me they really liked my game and gave me some ideas for it, so I sent them Anthrax.
Yeah. Oh no, no, somebody who had better ideas than me, and so I sent them Anthrax.
This one I
Yeah,
just straight up stole.
yeah, yes, true, right? And then, whereas like fucking Alpha and Nero is like, oh yeah, I created, deadly virus. Now I'm gonna fucking try to save humanity, even if it means killing everyone I love to correct my mistake. Hey, fuck you, Dad. I don't give a shit about humanity or anyone else. I just want to live. If it means killing you all, I'll do that too. So the
Also, it turns
greatest
out that
hero.
the pharmaceutical
Pharmaceutical
company is
company
the
is
one
evil.
that fucking is the one behind the epidemic the entire time.
Yeah, yep. And it's like, oh man, like Amazon's is, like if you imagine, I mean, not imagine, examine the themes of Amazon, like it is fucking dark as hell. I mean, like Amazon's is
Amazon's
pretty,
is pretty good.
yeah, it's
It's
actually pretty good.
directed a little weirdly, but it's got a good story.
Sort of. The problem I see with a lot of people who don't like Amazons is one is like, oh, it's a little too dark. So it's like, well, this isn't right, or I don't like this take. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like I can't really tell you to get into something that you're clearly not into, right? Um, and then the other thing is like people who super hard go on like, oh, Alpha is right. We should just kill all the Amazons because they're a danger to humans. I'm like, they were humans, you morons. They were experimented on. Like they
So
became
some people can't be
monsters.
trusted with
Like
edgy stories. You can't trust some people with these grim dark
yeah,
stories. They take
like
them in fucking the wrong direction.
it was so bad. I'm like, it's the simplest fucking story. Hey, who's the hero? Not Alpha. Why? Because his viewpoints are fucked up. Like it's a
The,
Kobayashi story. It's not hard. There's a reason
this
Shinji is
story
the one in charge and not Rin, because Rin would have killed everyone.
this story the story of Amazons is good. I just don't the only thing I really don't like is how in the second season, like
Oh,
the
the plot
last
is.
the, it's
You
not the
go.
plot that I have a problem with in it. It's the fact that the last four episodes, like the last 3 or 4 episodes, are really. It's like playing Kane and Lynch 2. It's really fucking unpleasant to sit through. Not because the plot is bad, but because the presentation is just an hour and a half of straight carnage with like nothing but screaming.
Oh,
It is
oh,
like
I know what you mean. When like
it
Neo
was
fully activates.
like someone was fucking like I was sitting there like just I'm just like, okay, it's time to fucking finish this show. I've been watching it on and off like since it came out. I gotta just sit here and finish this shit.
Like
And
honestly,
my
season
roommate,
two
but
is the roughest part of Amazon's.
it's fine. But my roommate was like, "What the fuck are you watching?" And I'm like, "I'm watching Kamen Rider," and they're like, "That is not Kamen Rider," because
Yeah, and there's your
to them
response.
they're not a Toku fan, so they think of all they've ever seen of Kamen Rider is like the not fucked up parts. So they're just like, this is not the
Uh,
same show as the Fruit Ninjas.
I'm like the fruit ninjas. Oh yeah, let's talk about the fruit ninjas. Oh,
Oh,
what's your power of fruit ninjas? Oh yeah, these rats are our monsters. They're attacking. Guess what? They're all the people who we couldn't save.
Yeah, like I actually told them, did you know that the Fruit Ninja one actually gets really fucked up too?
yeah.
And they're
What,
like, I don't believe you.
what's the plot of the Fruit Ninja one? Oh, the world is only ending, and everyone is fighting to become God to save it.
Well, some people are trying to save
Yeah, some
Like
people are fighting
fucking
to end it even harder.
it. Yeah, yeah. There's that.
like
Oh
the
man,
fucked up thing about Gaim is that it's actually kind of like
like Gimes, like
Cronenberg-esque.
if you
It's
write
like
out.
lightly Cronenberg-esque in some parts.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you write out what the hell the plot of Gaim is, it's fucking great material for a story. Its execution is not good enough. That is the biggest problem with
Yeah,
that.
that's fair. It's
Like, it's
it's
got
got
good
some.
actors, it's got decent suits, it's got a decent plot, like on paper. The all together,
The thing
it
is, like
just doesn't fit.
you can see the Urobuchi stuff happening in it, kind of like you could see when Urobuchi is like, yeah, let's just make this part go a little bit harder than usual. He didn't
Right,
go like
exactly.
full Urobutcher, but he was just like, I'm gonna put my mark on this because Ryuki traumatized me, and I have had a grudge against the world ever since.
Yeah, um that is true, right? Like everything he makes is just a reworking of Ryuki for the most part.
Yeah,
I
he
mean, what?
literally
That
fucking made a whole dissertation on his thought process going into writing Gaim, and he literally brought up that
Oh,
Ryuki traumatized him.
and
oh
that's how
god.
Madoka Magica was born.
Yeah, pretty
Exactly,
much.
exactly,
Pretty much.
pretty much.
All right,
Right, like
so
the
Zero.
only thing I can think of is like what, Re Zero? And I'm like, well, that's just because he was the writer. It's not his project, right? So he couldn't go too crazy.
Yeah, like same kind of thing with like Gaim. Like it wasn't all his decisions to make.
Honestly, like the fruits probably fucked up that show's plot. Like if Bandai hadn't been like, all right, what's popular with the kids?
The
Fruits.
the original plan was birds.
Yeah, birds would have worked so much better, man. Like the whole
I'm
forest
kind
and
of
birds
okay with
things.
the. Oh
No,
yeah, the forest with birds. I can see how that would have worked, but I think that the thing with the fruit makes it really hard to forget.
in the
And
golden fruit real well, but I'm like, you
yeah,
can tell that's like some last minute bullshit because like Helheim just went crazier and crazier, and that's because they had to add the fruit shit. Like if they had didn't need that, it wouldn't need that kind of escalation.
it's pretty iconic though. Like the
Oh,
fact
I'll give
that
you
this
that.
is it's
Like,
very like the whole concept of whenever I see Gaim transforming next to everybody, I'm like, okay, I get this guy's theme, I get this guy's theme, I get this guy's theme, everybody's themes I get, and then they get to Gaim, and I'm like, okay, there's a zipper, and then there's fruit, and then he's a samurai. Okay.
yeah, right. Like that's the thing. Like Gaim, I'll give it one thing. Like Gaim is very distinctive.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
just
it's
super
not
distinct. I
generic.
Right,
like it.
right. He's a samurai, and then he gets his power up, and now he has a gun.
Right?
Well, I can
Right.
see that because like they
Like,
were just back in the samurai era, they were just starting to get
Oh, dude,
gunpowder.
no,
Fuck,
they
I
had
can't speak
way more
English.
gun. Uh, Nobunaga, like Japan at one point had more guns than all the world put together. Like the samurai were super into fucking guns. Like that's why Nobunaga won, and people consider him like like the Demon King and whatnot. It's because he used a lot of explosives and guns and
he
all
did
that
what
shit.
was necessary.
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Man, I wish I had all the guns in the world.
And on that note,
Yeah.
it's been an hour and a half. So thanks for joining us, and everybody. We'll be back next Tuesday for more Cure Major, and Wednesday for more Kamen Rider 01. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye
Um.
boo.
Yeah. Platinum. Can you just tell them where to find you because not your
Oh,
podcast.
me. Yeah. I'm